Are you wanting to improve your financial mindset, your wealth mindset, your money mindset? Well, on Wealth Wednesday today, I'm going to share with you 5 tips that I learned from the book Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy, that have helped me in my life. Welcome back to the podcast today. So these Wealth Wednesdays are an episode where I share some wealth tips from a wealth book. It allows me to recap what I've learned and what I'm using and share with yourself in terms of some tips around wealth, because I know a lot of people struggle with money out there. And there's some really good teachers out there who give like their top tips. Now, the book today I'm talking about is, and I've been someone who's really struggled with money, and I've been able to improve what I'm taking in now. Like, I regularly get people coming to like pay me, and I've increased money in my career, all these kind of things. Obviously I want more so I can do more good, but certainly some of the things I picked up have helped me in my income. So this book, Think and Grow Rich, I'm holding it if you're watching me. I'm looking at the book. So Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy. They made a film, so the traditional book, Think and Grow Rich, which was made in the early 1900s by Napoleon Hill, is one of the most famous books out there in terms of personal growth, certainly. And they made a film about it, Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy. And it was all about like how people had applied the book and changed their lives. And there's some famous people who have contributed to writing this book. Some, 7-8 figure entrepreneurs out there who have utilized it, and they share their story in this book. So it's kind of how they put it into practice. And I wanted to share these because I think there's some really good, valuable insights in this. And I always write my notes at the back. So I'm going to share with you the top 5 tips here. And they're all simple, but simple wins and consistency wins. So the first thing I picked up is what they had said is pay attention to your focus. Your focus determines everything, and it can be so subtle that we pay attention to the wrong things. Like, obviously you have to pay the bills and things like that, but if you're focusing on how am I going to pay this off and that off like all the time, as opposed to how much wealth can I create and how much can I grow, those are 2 different focuses. If you're like focused on how tough life is and how hard you have to work, as opposed to how much abundance is there out there and how much value can I give to be more valuable in the marketplace, different focuses. And the people in this book who have got very wealthy have a certain type of focus. And it's not saying there's not challenges and things in life, but where you spend most of your focus is where your energy is going to flow, as Tony Robbins said, who's not in the book, but that's a quote he says. And there's people like Grant Cardone, John Lee Dumas, and many, many other people who have contributed into this book. So pay attention to your focus. Where is it going? Are you focusing on things you can't control or things that you can, which are your own activities, your own beliefs, and things like that? That's the first one. Number 2, knowledge only becomes power when organized and implemented on. Sounds so simple, doesn't it? But the amount of times that I've just like read a book and thought, that's a great book, and not applied it, and my life hasn't changed because I haven't applied the knowledge, right? There's one of my mates, I hadn't seen him for years, we didn't fall out, but we just lost contact. Used to be the kind of guy who could talk about all these things he's seen on YouTube or read. Phenomenal. His life never changed. He just could have some impressive conversations with a few people, right? But his life never changed because he never applied anything. But I've also seen people, particularly on podcasts, who just like, they've made changes to their life because they don't go on about what they've learned. They go and use it straight away. Now, obviously on the podcast, they are sharing a bit more about what they learned and how they used it. But if you look at people who really succeed in areas of life, they're just taking action. Like, they don't come up into this crappy, like, I'm a perfectionist or I got imposter syndrome and all those made up things. They just have a willingness to take action. And those are things, by the way, I've been caught up on. So your willingness to take action and implement the stuff you've learned is really, really key. As simple as it sounds. Like, I've been in places where I've done like the meditations, I've like, right, high energy, but I wasn't moving forward with my business and doing the things that moved the needle, and therefore I'd always go backwards. So you've actually got to take the action as well. So knowledge is not power, it's only power when it becomes organized plans and implemented on. That's a key one. Next one, high achievers make choices, not excuses. So excuses can be very, very subtle. And I've seen it, being in sales, being in business. I don't know everything, but this is observations and even observing when I've done well and not done so well. Like I've heard things like, it's not the right time now. Got a lot on right now. I'm just exploring a few more options. Do you know where those people usually end up? Exactly the same place they were stuck at, because they don't move forward. And they're like making excuses for why they're not moving forward, when usually it's fear of change or fear of investing in themselves, whatever it is, right? People who are successful make choices. Like, doesn't always have to be about investments, but I've seen people who went from like a struggling money situation to multi-millionaires, for example. There's one guy, okay, I'll pay for it on that credit card and a bit on that one. Or, okay, I'll find the money somehow. Or, okay, I don't have much time, but I'll make the time for this because it's important. High achievers make choices. But also, people who don't do well with their money also make they make the choice to not move forward. They make excuses, very logical sounding ones sometimes, and you have to read through it, like, oh yeah, it's just not the right time and these kind of things. I'm not talking about if obviously you've just had an accident or someone's close to you's died. That's a genuine real thing, right? I'm talking about like, oh yeah, I'm really busy at the moment. Things, you got to be honest with yourself. High achievers make choices to move forward regardless of whatever obstacles are in the way, not excuses. Number 4, if the plan doesn't work, don't replace the goal, replace the plan. Very good one. Like the amount of times when someone's like, I really want to I really want to start this business, or I really want to go into that career or whatever, or I want to hit this weight. And it's like the amount of times human beings would be like, oh no, it doesn't work. And they've done one plan and therefore they give up on the goal. If you see the most successful people in any area of life, especially with money, they're committed to the goal. They know what they want. Obviously, they enjoy life in the present, a lot of them, and work hard, right? They're present. But if their plan doesn't work, they try again. They try again. Look at some of the most notable stories in history. Walt Disney. How many times did Walt Disney fail or get rejected by banks? Okay, my plan is to go to that bank and get asked for some money so I can do my dream. Failed. Okay, change the plan. Tony Robbins did the same to get money, right? He was 17 years old. I need to go to that seminar so I can change my life, so I can change other people's life. Kept connected to the goal. Went to one bank. No, you're not having any money. Went to another bank. No, you're not having any money. Went to I don't know how many, went to 10 plus banks until he eventually got someone to say yes. Change the plan. Don't change the goal. Number 5, focus on one thing. Wealthy people don't try and be like, I'm going to do this project. And I'm seeing this in the communities I'm in, and I have to call myself out for it because I'm human and I can now and then get caught in not my best behavior for what's going to serve me to move forward. So focusing on one thing's key. Like the people who just I feel don't move forward, having loads of to-dos, loads of activities, and it's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have a personal and professional life. Absolutely, you have that, like things that you enjoy and time to relax. I'm all for that. I'm not a big fan of this. You've got to hustle 12 to 16 hours a day, every single day kind of thing. I feel like people who do that genuinely love what they do. And they just tell everyone else to do it, even though they might not like what they do, right? I do believe you have to work. But when you're aiming to do multiple things at once, that can be exhausting. I got very good at podcasting because I just kept focusing on podcasting. That's my thing. Podcasting is my thing. But when I start doing things like, oh, I want to be like this, I want to be that, I want to be that. That's when I get exhausted. So that, as a result, has really become my platform and allow me to grow and then therefore monetize. In YouTube, still got to work on, but like the audio podcast is something I've really grown over the years, right? But that, as a result, has allowed me to focus on one thing, and that's allowed me to grow in that area. So don't spread yourself too thin, as the phrase goes, I believe, or too wide, I think, right? So the 5 tips that I picked up from this book are of what people were doing who were really successful with money. And the one thing, by the way, that's like the one thing you can do to earn money. That could be your like passion. Don't spread yourself like too wide, right? So number 1, pay attention to focus. Number 2, knowledge only becomes power when it's organized and implemented on. Number 3, high achievers make choices, not excuses. Number 4, if the plan doesn't work, change the plan, don't change the goal. And then number 5, focus on one main thing that's going to move you forward in terms of your wealth and the building. Like, I'll comment on this as well. And this is just what I've learned, right? The people who, like they say, okay, invest into stocks, all these kind of things. Generally, people have built a fair bit of money behind them before they start doing all these different investment things. So do one thing to build up, and then you can start looking at other things when you've expanded and grown. That's when people start. That's what all successful entrepreneurs, they build up their money first, and they hire teams, and then they expand and they do more stuff. But first of all, you've got to focus on one thing. So that's what I got for you today. I appreciate you for being here. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.